Can you hear me?
Hi, Vicki. Denise.
Okay.
Someone needs to mute their microphone.
Yes.
And
Can you mute yours?
Charles was trying to get hold of you. We may not have a quorum.
He said, Vicki, and I told him we would just log in and just listen so we know exactly when the next meeting will be. He said he thought it would be July 3rd, but the board president would announce it. So that's all we're doing is just kind of.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you knew.
Right. Yeah. So I think your microphone is off, Denise. I think it just maybe took it a minute.
Well, I just got out of the screen.
Oh, okay.
We log on again and it says join with audio.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. The special meeting Thursday, June 27th at 12 p.m. at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building. Roll call of members.
Ms. Gremley,
Present.
Mrs. Cameron,
Present.
Mr. Roscoe,
Present.
and absent, we have Mr. Kroll and Ms. Paez, but we do have a quorum.
All right, on to Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among the United States. And now you're going to sing the Star Spangled Banner.
And with that, on to approval of agenda.
I
We
move
need to make those.
Yes.
Okay, so before we get to the approval of the agenda, we're gonna change this up due to some scheduling conflicts and some time constraints. We're only gonna be reviewing under action items 8, B, D, K, and L. The rest of the agenda items is gonna be pushed to July 3rd special meeting. Mrs. Chavez, did you have something?
What time on July 3rd, Mr. President?
Are we gonna try the same time?
The 5:30?
The 5:30?
Yep.
Okay. 5:30 p.m. on July 3rd is what we're gonna try to get the rest of it done.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
we also need to do action item A.
Okay. Okay. So A, B, D, K, and L. All right. All right, with those adjustments to
A,
have them.
say that again, A, B, D, K, and L.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Sorry.
And with those adjustments, I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Approve the agenda as amended, to only include action items under 8, A, B, D, K, and L.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second.
Mrs. Gremley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and with that, we're on to 8A, consideration and approval of budget adjustment requests.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. The one budget adjustment we do have is for transportation for our summer reading program. This allocation did just recently come in after the last board meeting, so I'm bringing it to your approval. This board meeting, it's to pay the contractors for our to and from transportation for the summer reading program.
Any questions? Zach? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move. Consideration, is that the one, and approval
Yes.
of the budget adjustment request?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Rusco.
Yes. Okay, with that we're good. On to action item B, consideration and approval of budgets for FY 25.
Good afternoon. Yes, before you, you do have some budget approvals. These are coming to you late as the allocations did come to us late, allocations and applications, I should say. You will be approving the IDP application with Mr. Sines shortly, but the budget is basically 1.5 million for EAs, administrative support. There's a charter allocation as well as so that, yeah, that's a separate line, and then supplies for our special education. Preschool, idea B is supplies and an EA at Bell Elementary. The CSI grant is specific to certain schools, and there is also a pretty significant $125,000 charter allocation. That one we did not get a lot of feedback, so I imagine we'll probably be coming to you with a bar because we're not sure how the schools wanted to spend it by the time we received the allocation. Most of the principals were off contract.
Now, which one, that's the,
CSI,
CSI.
4190, it's the third budget.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And then we do also have high dosage tutoring for 27,512. This was one that initially we were not going to use the funds for, but after further discussion with Ms. Chavez, both Ms. Chavez is actually the superintendent and Andy Chavez, we were able to come to a consensus on how we would utilize those funds. And that is going to be, just as it says, there's some interventionists, some supplies, things like that, so that we can have high dosage tutoring in our schools. And then finally, near peer, which is the grant for secondary students to go into the elementary schools and do tutoring for them. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Did they get reimbursed for tutoring?
We do pay the students, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for all of it.
Mhm.
For consideration, I mean, approval of budgets for FY 25. Do I need to list the ones?
No.
Huh?
No.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Motion and a second.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Rusco.
Yes. That passes. On to item D, consideration and approval of Title II application for SY 24-25.
I thought you were gonna leave us. No.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'm here to present the Title II Part A grant application for this upcoming school year. This year, the award is $285,000. It's down a little bit, about $4,500 from last year. The purpose of this grant is mainly to help increase student achievement and improve the quality of teachers, principals, and other leaders, and provide low-income and minority students greater access to the effective teachers. But this year's fund, we didn't really deviate much from how we spent the funds last year. Most of the funds go to the new teacher induction program. This year, we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to Last year, we had a mentees, and we provided monthly trainings. This year, we're going to contract with the REC, and they're going to provide the initial orientation and then monthly coaching and feedback and virtual training sessions. So I think it'll be a good model. And then we'll also provide mentors in the buildings. Along with the mentorship, we pay for 3 high need positions in the district. We pay part of the salary for our math content specialists, and then we pay part of the salaries for our content, for our COSAs in my little school and Bell. And lastly, we spend this money on stipends for our hard to staff positions, which are math, science, bilingual, and SPED. Currently, we have 14 of those positions open, and the majority of them are in SPED. We've got about 12. So we're trying to recruit and help in that area, but I stand for any questions.
These are SPED teachers.
We're looking for 12 SPED teachers, but yeah, the majority, most of this funds go to support our new teachers.
Right, but I just wanted to make sure I understood teachers, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
The stipend is $3,200.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the Title II application for school year 24-25.
A second.
Motion and a second.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes. Thank you. With that, we're on to item K, consideration and approval of Idea B and Idea B pre-K grant applications for SY 24-25. Mr. Sines?
Board President Roscoe, Vice President Cameron, members of the board. Before you, I have the IDEA federal grant for 24-106 and 24-109. Has been quite a journey for me in that we are told one thing and then we receive something in mail that is a little different than what they're telling us. But I think we got it down and we're ready to go ahead. So under the IDEA grant in 24-106, under objective 1, we are going to be allocating funds for our special education assistants. We have 16 of them that we pay under the grant. Case manager, outside of the school day, we have a teacher over at Baton that is taking on that outside case manager. And we pay a $2,400 stipend there. And then, of course, education supplies and materials, curriculum and software, we allocated $12,259.09 for supplies directly to the classroom and support our students with disability. Under the instructional support, under 24-106, clinical social supervisor and special education, which is a social worker that every month Mrs. Sweeney at Smith School has child find. And so she kind of is in charge of making sure that the process is documented and we're supporting the families with whatever they need. If they're asking for any other evaluations, she's there to help us out with that and also does any kind of evaluations that she may need at that time. So with that, that's a $10,000 stipend. We have special education facilitators, content specialist, which is part of the budget of paying them, and that one comes out to about $343,018.47. We have to hire an AEP translator. Our translator, Ms. Martinez, is going back to school, and I believe she's going to be starting a family, so she left us in good hands and did a very good job, and we were able to find a gentleman that was EA over at Memorial, and he is gonna take on that translating. And so his budget coming out of this 24,106 is 47,42 and 97 cents. And then as far as the PD, we have set aside 15,000 for the law conference for Walsh and Gallegos to send down their lawyers so that they can educate our principals and staff with new information that's coming in every year. There's the Mexico SBA law conference and the Mexico ASBO. So that's what we put in our professional development. And for our educational supplies, materials curriculum, in objective 2, we set aside 13,335.44. And then under objective 3, of course, the director and our new assistant director that we have interviewed and they're still waiting to go ahead and onboard them. Comes out to 211,787.07 cents. 60% of that is for the director and then 100% for the assistant. As far as other support services, we have our 3 secretarial assistants, the assistant to the director and assistant director, our data and our records, and so their salary is paid at 176,385.01. Indirect cost was 66,766, and then we're taking a lot of the files that are in our vault. They're at Smith, and we have a contract with Teralogic, and they go ahead and take those files and scan them in, and then we have them all so that we can access them a lot quicker and keep them a lot better instead of just having piles of files. So it's kind of dwindling down. Hopefully we'll get there.
That's what's been in my old office, obviously.
Yes. Now under 24,109, in objective 1, we were able to go ahead and budget out for educational supplies and curriculum software, 9,481.03 cents. A facilitator under 24,109 for 8,087.94. Professional development for pre-K, 24,109 is 47.40.50 cents. Supplies was 4,740.53. Under and so that allocation that we separated for, I should have started there for 24 for the preschool was actually 27,050. And then we just broke it down. As far as the charter school, once we put in the 40-day count of 832 students and 16 from charter at the 40-day count, with the 1,000,005, it came out to an allocation of 28,955 and 28 cents. That's everything.
What's the total on that, all that? Do you have a total?
So the total comes out to for the 24,106 is 1,505,684 and 74 cents, and for 24,09 it's 27,050. So I stand for any questions.
And just so with that, you covered both K and L, is that my understanding?
Yes.
Okay, so both of those are covered. So we'll start off with K on the grant application and ask for any questions or comments on that from the board.
I had a question on, I don't know if this is K or, something else in front of me, but on page 3 where it talks about, areas of non-compliance, are you able to explain what those designations mean? Just because I don't know.
That and I'll try my best. I wasn't in the meeting with the principals. But I know that they did have to go ahead and the CSI and the ATI, they had to go ahead and provide a new how do I say, as they went ahead and added it to each school got one. I can't even remember, I had that and I just ran out of the office. Let me see, hold on one second, I'll do that.
Mr. President, I don't have the handout in front of me. I wasn't provided the additional information that was sent out, I guess. But if it's related to the ASI, CSI, that is those were the designations that were redesignated in December, and then they pulled all that back. We were traditional, and then we were given those designations back for a full 3 years. And it has to do, even though they had the growth, each school has an individual designation that was given from the 21-22 school year that was reinstated after our December presentation when we had that data. This happened in April, I believe it was. And so each of those means something different. So if it says like for EL, that means that particular school had a designation for English language learners. We had Bataan that had one for special education. Again, this is data from 21-22 and has to stay with them for 3 years. Had they been able to get out of it, they would have been out of it. All of our schools got out of it in December, but PED came back and said we had to hold that for 3 years. So there is additional work on their part. They have to do their strategic plan, which is the DASH plan, that is specifically aligned to the requirements for each of those designations.
So
I don't know if that helps.
Travis,
Okay.
I do have them here, and so Chaparral is ATSI for ELs. Columbus is CSI for points. Cesar Chavez is MRI for graduation. They had a real low graduation percentage. Memorial is ATSI for Ls. Minas Valley was CSI for graduation. Red Mountain Middle School is CSI for points, and RSD is ATSI for ELs. So in those areas, they're going to need to have some focus. And so with the students that are with disabilities, we'll be supporting them as well in each one of those schools.
Did that answer your question?
No, but we'll add it as another agenda topic later.
Okay. So with going back to the application again, there's no further questions with that one, then I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve the IDEAB and IDEAB pre-K grant application and budget for school year 24-25.
Second.
Can we do both of those?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, motion in a second. Take roll, please.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Roska.
Yes. And with that, both of those are passed. So now on to announcements.
The only announcement that we have is the special meeting scheduled for July 3rd at 5:30 PM. That will be here in the board room.
When's
Um,
that?
July
The
third,
next meeting? Oh, it's you.
July 3rd, 5:30.
Huh?
July 3rd, 5:30.
Third,
Mhm.
not July 18th.
That's the regular meeting. The July 3rd is gonna be a special meeting.
Right, I meant we're gonna have that. One.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other requests for agenda items?
I would just like to request the agenda item of discussing the schools that are at least designated to not be in compliance and what those designations mean and how we're addressing them.
Okay. Superintendent Chavez, do you have anything? No,
No, I sure don't. Thank you.
thank you. All right, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Roster.
Yes.